Tomorrow I might actually be working on some of these. So I have these 2 liter bourbon barrels. They actually work and hold liquor, so I do cure them. It's got the bung and it's got the spout goes there. So, but I do paint them up. If you go to my Instagram and scroll back, scroll down a ways, you'll see like one with like a Kraken that's all blacklight reactive, and one with a Cheshire cat. So I will be, as opposed to just painting on canvas, I do have some other mixed media stuff or 3D stuff I'll be working on. I just did my first hand cast resin figures too of a little space alien guy I got named Michelobio. So I'll be painting up a few of the figures. This wall behind me, I have two 32-foot walls in my studio. Sugar, we're going to get him some turntables and a couple of, maybe for a couple weeks or maybe on weekends or whatnot, we'll do like a party night where he'll DJ and I'll just live paint a mural on the wall and start working on getting these walls muraled up in here. And then my motorhome is also, there's pictures on my Instagram. I have a 23-foot motorhome that I tore in, and it's all muraled up, and that's about to get remuraled. So I'll pull the cameras outside in a couple weeks when the weather gets a little bit better up here in Washington and start to mural that up. So definitely bring you guys some more than just traditional painting on canvas. But there'll be plenty of that too. I've got some product design I'm working on as well. That Mad Hatter piece I put up earlier is actually going to be part of a series of products. I do a lot in the cannabis industry and whatnot. Here's actually the caterpillar piece. Moonwitch, what's up? Mic's a bit low tonight. Let's see, we can fix that. Is that better? Or I might have just turned the music up. Much better. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know that. I know I can't obviously monitor it. If I do, you get that echo, but I do try and chime in and test it before I do the full stream. But awesome. How's your night tonight? I'm painting bat wings. Nah, definitely not. No, I'm all about people helping me. If the music's too loud or the mic's too low or whatnot, please let me know. I'll definitely not, well, let them get grumpy and then they'll watch their channel die. You guys got to listen to me. I hang out with me all night, so I live with me. So I'd like my mic and music to be, pleasant for you guys. So I know me. We're just finishing up some line work on the bat wings here. So this bourbon barrel is actually the bat. So the bat wings go into the barrel. These two are just exploding and dripping barrel bourbon everywhere. So I just wanted to drop these bat wings in though, so I could get everything framed up and bring in the darkest color that's going to be on the painting. And then I think I'm going to throw in Hunter's shirt next. That'll be a nice bright red with some white flowers. And then we'll definitely put some highlights on the wings too. A lot of white highlights to bring them forward. I was talking to Panda in her channel, now she's gone from here. Coffee. Can't have too much coffee. There's Panda. Alright. 8 viewers, setting a record. Make sure you guys follow. Let me get my follows up. Let's see. Alright, so let's go into some wash that brush. And I'm going to find a nice red here. Let's get this old palette out of the way. We'll bring in a beautiful new Chinette bowl. It's a secret to my painting success. Red. Which red do we want? It's a little... it's kind of a nice red. Okay. I don't like that red. Well, here we go. Hang on. We're going to mix a couple reds here. I do like that first red. It is kind of like an old style red. Like if I was doing like more of a 70s color palette, that would work really well. And yeah, that's a great name. Oh, we know each other by first name. All right. Oh yeah, that's the red we want. There we go. Juicy. Okay. Let's leave you there for a little bit of water. Is the music loud enough, Moon? That's showing 11 viewers. Mine says 7, but we'll go with you. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for popping over. And for the newbies, let me here. I'll pop the Hatter painting in here again. So this is the one I worked on the first couple nights I streamed. So this is the Mad Hatter with a bunch of honey for his tea. It's also going to go out to a bunch of smoke shops as like a dab thing. But so we got the honeycomb stuck on his hat. Cheshire's kind of coming through the teacup. And then SeanDietrichArt.com, you can check out all the finished artwork that I've got out right now. I think there's about 47 paintings online, I believe. Or 47 prints. And this, of course, is Mr. Hunter S. Thompson. Thank you. Yeah, traditional. We're bringing it back. That's what Cigar Czar and I were talking about earlier about, like, you know, I'll definitely be on here. I'm not going to be a fly-by-night. I paint every night, so I might as well stream and definitely bring some more traditional back to Twitch. I know there's a lot of digital anime and whatnot. So, Fire Camo 12, what's up? Welcome. And if you guys are artists, feel free to drop a link, a website, in the chat. I'm all about, you know, you guys want to share art or whatnot with each other, that's cool with me. Upper eyes. It'd be like marching paintbrushes. Yeah, I mean, 11 viewers after for my 4th day. I think you know, we're getting there, man. We're getting there. And like I said, I haven't even put out I haven't put the word out to the 20,000 people following me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that combined. So, you know, we'll get some more crazies in here, especially if I can get some of my friends to hop on and and kind of heckle the shit out of me. Well, that always turns into a fun time. Instagram. Here, man, let me pull up your Instagram on my Instagram. What is it? Let's see. Panda. Panda the Mandalore. There you go. All right, followed. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm all about, this is how I do it in real life. I mean, I paint live in front of like 30, 40,000 people. I mean, being on Twitch is no biggie. So if I'm at the festivals and I have all those people, around me and whatnot, I actually kind of find it comforting. Like my first year was really nervous. I was live painting at nightclubs and I had all these people around me and I didn't know how much I could paint. Like, oh, I have 5 hours. How do I get a whole painting done in 5 hours, or am I supposed to just do a little bit? How much can I drink? I mean, I've got some paintings that I'm like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, like that actually came out of me. Like that's horrible. So, but after the first year, I got pretty comfortable with painting in front of people. Digital, cool, cool. We allow digital in here. It's all good. And Moonwitch, yeah, the beadwork, you showed me that. That's really rad stuff. That's like a different kind of tedious, whereas I do the line work, like all those little beads. It seems like it would drive me nuts or be like really soothing and relaxing. Yeah, traditional is, the canvas is your Wacom or your pad or whatever, and your stylus is your paintbrush. There's no history. You fuck up, you gotta buff it out. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's, I meet a lot of people too that do traditional or they got out of art and they don't, and I'm like, you don't have to be a pro. It's like, just do it because it's relaxing. Because you work in a cubicle all day or you deal with assholes in retail or whatever you do for a day job if you're not pro, and, something that's chill. It's like I got friends that are waiters and waitresses, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck you do that without a release. I mean, most of them are mad drinkers, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't wait tables. First person to complain, I'd probably punch him. Not at that level. Well, that's cool that you got someone you can work with as well. Always fun to. And we're gonna, eventually too on the stream, I'm gonna have guest artists come in. I've got some people coming up from LA and San Diego and whatnot, so they'll come in. I have a guest room built into the studio, so we'll do some live collaboration and maybe have them hop on the wall and do a little piece to add to the wall as well. And then I'll have to figure out my streaming schedule when I'm touring. I'm actually working on trying to get dedicated internet or some sort of suitcase unit where I can actually stream from the booth and show what's going on at the festivals. Right now, it's just, like any festival, there's 200,000 people on their cell phone at the same time, so it's barely, I could barely run a credit card or upload a picture to Instagram, but I'm working on it. Because I don't just want to go on tour in September and October and just whoop, then the channel's dormant for that long. There we go. So we'll drop in his famous red and white shirt. Here, let me add, get some more Instagrams going here. Two G's, two A's, five H's? Yeah, alright. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, just getting in some, contrasting colors. Wanted to put in the dark colors. Always have loved that red and white shirt that he's famous for. I think Stedman painted him in it a bunch. What on earth? Oh, okay. Sometimes I'll put a line in and then come back to it and be like, I don't know where that connects. Anybody else make sound effects when they paint? Or bead? The artist version of singing in the shower. There we go. Tighten that up a little later. Okay. I say, ouch, when I stab myself with a needle. All right. That is making a noise. My little boy has this. He's 6 years old. When he's concentrating, he just goes, "Ee." It's just so. It's almost like calming. We've had people like, is he gonna make that noise till he's 30? And I'm like, well, we all make weird noises. I'm like, who gives a shit? All right, I think since I have this red pulled out, I'm gonna throw in some brown, orange, yellow into the palette, and we'll start. Since digital, I do not. You don't make digital noise? Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to think if there is a correlation, if it's on a screen or if it's because it's a little more tactile, is there a relationship between making noise and all that good stuff? But what did I do? Cool. Got your whisper, Moon. Thanks. What do we do next? Yeah, we're gonna do these towers next. So what I'm gonna do is get kind of, I think the lightest. I may even go with a green. Maybe a green in the back here. Yeah, that would look pretty dope. Just something real. And wash these brushes out. Sorry, just washing some brushes. Why did that not? Oh, okay. Cool. Thanks for the follow. Alright, let's get into that lime green. And the host. Awesome. Host with the most. Yeah, I think let's toss this lime green in here. This might be too light of a green. But I'm going to drop it in, and then I'm going to throw the orange on these kind of painted desert plateaus, and then Let's see what the contrast looks like. You just gotta say fuck it and throw it in there. Nope, that was totally cool. You're good. You're good, Moon. Any advice, anything like that? You feel free. I'm not one of those grumpy dudes. Maybe when I first wake up and if I hop on, I might be grumpy, but no, anything to help the channel, or like I said, I'm not new to art, but I am new to Twitch, so I want it to be a pleasant experience. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is my 10 p.m. coffee. Yeah, Hunter did wear like the Acapulco shirts. If you watch the beginning of Fear and Loathing, when he first gets the assignment to go to Vegas for the first time, he's like, he has to go get the Acapulco shirts, the Hawaiian shirts, and a tape recorder, and something else. I think I think it was just all manner of drugs. And so he was like, the shirts and the drugs were easy to procure. The tape recorder was a little tougher. So then they show the car just pulling up, and it's got the shirts just hanging off the, I think they're hanging out the door or something like that. But and I know Ralph used to draw them a lot in these shirts. But I just remember the red and white one in particular just being like kind of an iconic one. Yeah. And we'll shade those flowers in a little bit later, so I think that green might work. Sometimes I like throwing in, like, if there's going to be some reds, he's got some flesh tones. If I put in the orange and whatnot to have that, I kind of like picking some color that really has no earthly purpose being there, but it's so, it contrasts nicely with the bat wing. So I think once everything else is put in, it'll work. Cool. Thanks for joining us, Guy, and get some sleep. Yeah. I'm on most nights, 9 p.m. I think I was late, 9:15 tonight. Whatever. But yeah, I'll be on the next few nights painting, and I'll figure out the weekend schedule too. Right now, it's just kind of at random. I got red, some brown. At times I do, yeah. As far as referencing a color wheel, I'll do some pieces. I wonder if I have it up there. I think on my Facebook, I do the. I'm the creative director for Herb magazine, so it's like a trade publication that goes out to smoke shops. So I do all their cover art. But I did a BB-8 cover. They did an article on the new Star Wars movie last year, and so I did one that had BB-8. But I put him in 1979 when Star Wars came out, or 77, and it was just him with a spray can, and he had spray painted the year on the wall, and then the can said like Han sprayed first. But what I did is I wanted it to be kind of like Brooklyn, like little 5 Points, late 70s era. So I would just Google 70s color palettes, and then I'll go from there. If you look at all my about Facebook, YouTube, that's all one color palette. It literally is a 1976 color palette. So all the stuff underneath on my profile that has like my links to YouTube and all that, the lettering is all, I think, 5 colors or whatnot. So yeah, and then I have a painting called Ma Deuce, and it's a 50s housewife with a 50 caliber machine gun, and she's holding an apple pie up, and she's a 50s housewife. So I Googled the 50s color palettes to see, and a lot of it can just be like what Sherwin-Williams put out as like the hot colors of 1959, or what everybody wants to paint their house with. So yeah, I'll definitely reference, because a lot of times I used to not reference, and I would do these paintings that were period specific, and then I'm like, I'm like, well, what's wrong? Why don't they look? I just went with colors that I wanted to use, and then I started using color palettes and whatnot and matching it to time, and it would just really make the difference as far as bringing you into that time period. And yes, it's okay for you to use a color wheel, of course. You can do whatever the fuck you want. That's art. Thanks for the thanks for the follow, fire. um, yeah, there's very few rules in art that I follow. It's once style and balance, and just making sure that the painting's framed up or balanced. I mean, even that kind of goes out the window sometimes. So, for me, it's just been so many years of just like working that, just like brush control becomes second nature. Learning how to balance out a painting and what things work well, and like with here, obviously easy that the bat wings frame the painting, but then even bringing in like a circle to kind of like, target this area specifically, and then picking bright colors and then contrasting them, just stuff like that that'll kind of just become second nature to you. But I still occasionally do experiment, and I'll throw stuff out like this green. I didn't know that's what I wanted there. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't care until I put the background in, and then I'll care if it doesn't work. So, but easily fixable. A little bit of white, buff it out, put in a new color. So I just need so much out of the French Matisse. It is unreal. Matisse, is that like the old? Wasn't he the one who? Yeah, I know him. I've seen him at the National Art Gallery. Yeah, I mean, there's some artists that I look at, and occasionally I'll find an artist where I'm just like, wow, like they really blew the color wheel away, and they went in a completely different direction. And it's refreshing to see that. Some people really get into dissecting colors and what's complementary to each other. And blue and orange are probably the easiest complementary colors to work with. Bringing purple into a painting, I know Robert Williams always talks about how tough it is to bring purple into a painting and make it work, and so even just bringing in some purples and whatnot and blending it with a nice color over here. Yeah, the French guy. Okay, the Frenchie for sure. I need some yellows. Yeah, it's funny too when like I said, it's a lot of it. A lot of artists kind of get stuck in their ways and then kind of forget that, or forget that the color wheel's there. Or like you said, is it okay to use? Yeah, of course, if it's going to make your artwork better, definitely use whatever you have at your disposal to make sure it looks great. Because sometimes we think, oh, I've been doing this for so long, I know it all, and it's like, no. Sometimes you do need a refresher course. And so we'll start dropping in some. I love doing these like kind of towers. I actually did a little commission for a buddy of mine. I did a little trade, but I did a Breaking Bad piece for him for his studio. Just a little private commission. But I did the scene where the he's cooking meth in the RV out in the Arizona desert. Did these little towers. It's a fun piece. Love the show. And then so I basically just with these I'll and this is where the balance comes in. I'll just pop in and do colors. Take one color for instance and just do a bunch of like oranges, and then I'll go in and do the browns and then yellows, and so I usually start with like a mid-range color and then put in a super dark and then a light. Best show ever. It was amazing. Yeah, I do miss it. I do watch Better Call Saul though. I'm glad they did the spinoff just so I can get some sort of Breaking Bad fix. No pun intended. And then like what I'll do is probably skip all the way down here for that color because it almost looks very rhythmic right now. Like I'm only skipping every other one. So that's something where I'll I just happen to, I'll notice it. Yeah, that was art on screen. That was, I think that was a great time period. It was like Breaking Bad, and then Mad Men, and then Game of Thrones before I got sick of it. Walking Dead before I got sick of it. Yeah, my buddy's watching Breaking Bad now for the first time going through it, so we were watching a bunch of episodes on tour, and it was pretty cool to kind of watch some of it now that I've been watching Saul and excuse me, and just kind of like, oh yeah, like certain parts with like Mike and Saul that I'd forgotten that happened in Breaking Bad, and reliving those. Breaking Bad ended on the best episode ever. Yeah, Mad Men was. I liked the ending. It was interesting. It was just the kind of weird that maybe hope they went for. I mean, not that watching Don Draper just become a California hippie, but and then transitioning into the Coca-Cola "Teach the World to Sing" ad was like, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty cool ending. All right, so there we go. So yeah, now that I have some of these oranges in, it's really making Hunter's glasses kind of pop, and it ties it all together. So, and then with this, since there's no real defined line where we can actually kind of blend some colors down here. There we go. Maybe just dip into some yellow real quick and get that going. Flip the brush because it had some dirty orange on the back, and then boom. Oh, having to actually watch the final episodes. Yeah, it's some shows do that. Like Walking Dead really lost me after like the fifth time that they did the storyline where they come across the place and it looks nice, and then it turns out to be pure fucking evil, and the guy running it's a sadistic dude, and I'm like, oh my god, how many times do we have to watch that storyline? I don't know if that's how the comic book is, but I'm just like, let's switch this up a bit. And it's funny because if that's like, if the writer really thought that was original, that's, you know, might be time to switch professions. All right, so we got the painted desert coming in, the first tower. And we're gonna go with, I think, a brighter palette here. We'll bring in some more darker browns back here. Yeah, Walking Dead, totally phoning it in. I don't know if it's because I'm a dad or whatnot, but like, I'm into some pretty fucked up horror films or whatnot. But when you like start blowing kids away, I don't know. That's when I kind of thought they started to lose me. And when it's not like an over-the-top horror film where it's like almost comedic, it's acceptable. It's when it's like highly emotional and you're like, is this really necessary? So we're gonna do a little, kind of a blended brown, a little bit in the middle here. Let's go into some of this yellow ochre. It'll be remade, yeah. Probably. Everything is getting remade. I can't believe Fear the Walking Dead's still on. I thought they canceled that shit a long time ago, but it's like the next season. Alright. Yeah, coming together. Got a lot of action going on. And I think what we'll, let me let that dry a little bit, but some of this will stripping the color out. I think we might do a little bit in there, kind of make it look like there's a little bit more individual, like larger rocks or boulders kind of pushed into the landscape. If you've ever driven through the Southwest and seen this, you'll know what I'm talking about. We'll do some red and brown in there. Yeah, I think it does. And I think there's going to be like a crossover. Like some character, you know. And it's funny, I could be talking about something that's already happened because I haven't paid attention in that long. Yeah, Red Rock. It's a great example. Dip into this brown a little bit. Maybe lighten it just a tad. And then once I do the ink work too, I'll actually add a little bit more line work and a few more rock formations in there. There we go. Cool. I might be happy with this shit. Actually, I'm going to put a little red down here. Try not to rush. I always get excited when I'm like, oh, the painting's turning out cool. Can't wait till it's finished. And then see here, red might not have been the greatest choice because it goes into his shirt. But what we do, take a little brown. I'll just darken it around there. Just bring in a brown tone. And we can accentuate that too with some black ink in the end. All right. Yeah, right. What time is it? Oh, 12:20. Not bad. I had no clue. It's funny how time does fly on this. Oh, there goes my iPad again. Shit. Dude, my iPad just keeps crashing. Hang on one second. I should have to log back in so I can see chat. What did I say this time? Last time Cigar Czar and I were making fun of Apple when my iPad crashed. I don't think I said anything anti-Steve Jobs yet. There we go. All right. Cool. More of that brown up underneath there. More coffee. And again, for anybody just joining, feel free to link your artwork in the chat. Always down to encourage sharing art with the other viewers, and I'd love to look at it. Definitely added some pretty creative people to my Instagram roster over the last few days. I feel like maybe a little red up there. Yeah. So a couple of red. A couple of these little guys. Yay, we made it! In fact, I might change that one to red. There we go. Sometimes too, the lighting's like bouncing off the paint while it's still wet. There we go. Okay. All right. I definitely know we're gonna go. Put some nice dark brown down here. Set this one back behind the first one. Thank you. We're getting there. Yeah, and I think next week I'm going to take the opportunity this weekend. I do have a very large commission that needs to be worked on. I talked a little bit about it the last couple nights, but it's a 4 foot by 6 foot painting. So I'll just have to rearrange my cameras, but it was commissioned by a buddy of mine for to commemorate his grandfather who stormed Normandy and fought at the Battle of St. Lo, and he was part of the 115th. So he did commission me to do a painting that kind of reflects that. And I'm doing it in a very, very surreal kind of take on it. So like all the vehicles are animalized and the Sherman tanks. There's Valkyries, there's all sorts of craziness going on. So, but yeah, so I'll get that set up. I just want to get the pencils done first, and perhaps the inks before I stream it, because it's a hell of a lot more technical than this painting. And especially trying to balance, getting the balance right on a painting that size. And then usually I'll map out, in fact, almost 100% of the time, I map out all the colors before I even start in on it. So that way I know. Oh, I forgot to put a little water down there. Yeah, I'll play some Wagner. That's a good idea. I forgot. Yeah, I could do some classical music and what is it? Valkyries entering the gates of Valhalla. Didn't they play that at the end of the last Alien movie when the android was taken over after he put that girl back in cryogenic sleep? There we go. We can still strip the color out. All right, so just a little bit of water. Strip out some of that color. In fact, this is a little still wet, so we can actually get a lot more of that texture in there. It kind of gives it that grainy look, like it's rock. Yeah. That's right. That's why Ren and Stimpy used a lot of that classical music, because they didn't have the budget for. If everybody remembers Ren and Stimpy, but they didn't have the budget for music, so they just took all the open source classical music that was available. And it worked. Oh, that's right. This is that salmon color. Salmon. Two-tone right here for some thickness to the rock. And all the smoke coming out of his cigarette is that's all going to be white over top of it, so that will be added later on. That was a purposeful move. There we go. Let's do a little bit of this. I think I want to get some of the more. Is Excalibur utilize logo? Oh yeah. Yeah, we can. I mean, there's definitely some Germans in the painting, and you know, it would definitely fit the theme. When I'll have to come up with the American side of so when I'm painting the American side of the painting, I can play one music selection and then bring in the Wagner for the German side. I'll have to have Sugar do like a mix, like a mashup. So if I hop all over the painting, it can be like a battle. Boom. That doesn't completely look like a penis, but you know. Electronic for the yeah. Just do craft work. Roboter 1978 or I guess that would still be German, but no thought of a penis until you said so. Yeah. Cool story on that, or maybe not cool. Yeah, it's funny. My buddy Kai and I did this 2-story mural outside this bar on in Pacific Beach, and it was basically the left-hand side. He painted like a 17-foot like 70s roller skate girl. And we did it in that kind of 70s color palette. And then on the other side, I did like this old station wagon with like a starfish hanging off the edge. It was real Salvador Dali looking. But the wheels were like sand dollars. And then I put like 3 surfboards up top. And, you know, when you're working large scale, you get the sketch done and the sketch looked fine. But the minute I started dropping like the cream color in, I did the 2 sand dollars and the middle surfboard. And then I woke up the next morning and I stood back and looked at it and I was like, oh man, I just drew a big penis on their wall. And I'm like, shit. So I kind of just went with it, and we made the other boards like different colors, and then, you know, as we dropped in the darker colors behind it, it just became more prominent. And finally, like, the owner shows up and one of the managers, and, you know, we were kind of just talking, and I was like, well, no one's mentioning anything, so I'm not going to say anything. And then finally the one owner's like, so what's with the big cock you just painted on the wall? And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, it was one of them things. And he's like, nah, it's at least they thought it was funny and they kept it. And it's still there today. And I'm like, look, it's PB, man. It's all frat boys. And I said, it's appropriate. So occasionally, yes, something phallic will appear in the, you know, but not as intentional as H.R. Giger. You know, I mean, that guy was all about penises in his paintings. There we go. But I was impressed that they actually kept it. Yeah. That's what I said. I said, look, it's a great story. Something to tell the grandkids. Did I tell you about the penis of 2015? Uh-oh, Grandpa's losing it. There we go. Just want to make sure I color this guy in before I forget him. And then I think while I'm into that brown, let's actually bring in some of the brown here. Like I said, it's just about kind of laying it in, and then this will all be inked in. I'll make these lines a bit more prominent. I don't want to put too much brown down there, though, because the bourbon barrels are going to be brown. I want them to blend in. Tribute pick to him. Yeah, he was, when I saw his stuff, I think it was back in the 90s when I was still collecting comics and like the Necronomicon came out, I was like, holy shit, you know. That's when I first found out about him designing all the alien characters and doing that artwork. Let's see if that link will let me go to it. Galium, there we go. Oh, nice. Yeah. Man, your patterns are insane. Like, this is the kind of stuff we could put out on, like, rolling trays and dab mats and stuff like that, and the stoner crowd would go apeshit over. I mean, I could stare at that for hours. All those little squiggly things would just start, you know, moving. Yeah, I recently saw that documentary on him. Very, very cool documentary. Interesting guy. Obviously, you know, not as strange as I thought he would be, but, you know, I guess I just assume sometimes artists that make it that popular are just like out of their mind. We're just so used to it. Like, well, you wouldn't be making a documentary if you didn't, like, in between painting pictures, like, eat small farm animals or... Too many leashes. Oh, yeah. You mean people leeches? I think I meant pet leeches. I'm like, I don't know if I saw that part. It's like anything. You get that big, you're gonna find some parasites. There's gonna be people hanging on. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are gonna, you know, especially in your old age, are gonna just, you know, that's why, like, my will is set up like, like I told my, I always joke with my wife. I was like, look, I'm going to set it up like this. You and the kids and the grandkids and whoever's alive, they get to pick one piece of art, and I'm burning the rest of this shit with me. We're going to build a big Viking funeral pyre, bunch of my art on the bottom, throw me in the middle, bunch of art on top, and just light that bitch up. I'm like, because if you didn't support me in life buying my art, you're not going to make millions off me when I'm dead. I'm like, evidently that's uncool, but, kind of a half joke. I just thought that would be funny to, where'd the rest of his art go? Oh, it's going up in smoke with him right now. I figure if I burn everything that I still have, that just makes all the art that people did buy when I was alive more valuable. I'm doing world a favor. Yeah, I hate to see documentaries like that though, where it's like they had such a cool life and then all of a sudden like people just were parasitic in the end, and you're like, oh, come on, man. Just like be happy you knew the guy or were a part of his life. Just because he didn't give you like a $5,000, or in his case, whatever it goes for, 50, 60 grand per original, 100 grand, $1 million. Be happy you knew him. The real wealth comes with death. I'm fighting that, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy that some of my originals right now are going for upwards of 20,000. I mean, and I don't mind saying that. I don't mind a little transparency in what my paintings sell for, and just because I know, I like artists to know that it is worth it, and you can make it, and you can get people, you can build a clientele up like that. You don't have to wait till you die before you're. But real wealth, yeah. I mean, I doubt I'm going to sell a $10 million painting before I die. I doubt I'll sell one after I'm dead. But you know what? But I get it. I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, that's so much so that it is a joke about like, oh, if I kill you, then your painting will be worth something. But what people don't realize is like, no, if I kill you, it'll be worth something too. I always joke when people get tattoos of my artwork. But I'm saying your art when you die sells for $3,500. Yeah, it can happen. I mean, that's just because that's the point that's the finite point. Like once I'm gone, once you're gone, I mean there's no more Sean Dietrich art. There's no more Cigars Are Art. There's that's it. Whatever's out there is out there, and yeah, people scramble to get pay for the good pieces or the more prominent ones. But I don't know. I may change my feeling on that once I get towards the end of my life and think, you know what, I'm just glad people are still enjoying it. But if they're just out there slinging it to make like exorbitant amounts of money, then that's shitty. But that be the world we live in. Alright, so we got these two towers dropped in. I am going to finish this tower up, and then we can drop a background into that. And go from there. I'm gonna actually, maybe we'll do some, maybe some of this pink and blue here. We'll see. I haven't been using this yellow ochre much. I think I'm gonna tone this down a bit. Yeah, and that's the goal. I mean, the fact that I've been able to live off my art for a decade and a half and support a wife and two kids where she doesn't have to work, and if she doesn't want to. I mean, my wife is actually handling the wholesale side of my business now that I just signed a manufacturing deal. But that to me is success. I mean, I'm not known like Tim Burton or whatever, but or some of these other artists, but it's, I'm making a living, and I don't have to worry where my next meal is coming from or job is coming from, because I'm starting to get into the point where if I'm making my own, that's why I jumped into the manufacturing side of things, because I was like, okay, if I can make my own products and I can handle that side of things, that's, if the original art market just dumps, the bottom goes out, at least I'm in different markets. I'm in import export. I can manufacture. I can do stuff for other artists. I can sign artists and produce their products. I mean, so I'm just trying to position myself right now where like the business side and the residual income will take care of me. And in turn, that allows me to bump the original prices up and keep them astronomically high where all artists' originals should be. But it's that whole business side of things that a lot of artists don't, we're not wired for that. But I find it to be creative. I like negotiating deals and just trying to figure out because I work with a lot of creative entities. They're not just corporations. They're actual brands that are looking for creative input. So we actually get to do a lot of fun stuff. And you just got to beat it in their head sometimes that you're not the creative, I am, so we don't want to hear your ideas. But yeah, just finding that balance, because, it was like, oh, are you selling out? No. I'm doing what I wanted to do. Make a living off art. I think we want to go darker because it is in the background. Let's get a nice. There we go. I have art I give to girls when you're young that I dream about. The art, not the girls. Yeah, I've given art to girls too, and I'm like, where did those girls go? Oh, for sure. But you know what? It's like, if that's a memory, if that art was a catalyst for something that, writes a cool page in your life story, then that's okay. The cool thing about it is you can still create more. Like, I don't ever worry about like if a piece of art, I'll paint it again if I really want it that much. But I think if it's a cool story like that, that's cool. Use it for romance, or like that's that whole shit. That's what artists are known for, man. But I think that's a beautiful thing. That's a cool thing. I can't tell you how much money I made in high school. I used to do like $10 a pop. I would draw a custom Valentine's Day card for guys to give to their girls. Oh yeah. There's pieces I miss, and then there's, but I do have a couple, like a few of my favorites that I've sold to friends for super cheap, like even lower than I would give them their friends and family discount, just so I know they own it. And I can see it anytime, or anytime I'm there, in their area. So, but yeah, the Birth of Flight Part 3. It's a painting I did of like a red Zeppelin docking on the Empire State Building, and you're kind of down in the 1920s tenements, and I really loved it. And I think maybe a couple years ago, I think I sold it to my buddy for like $500. I was like, I just want to know it's in a good home and I can come see it. So sometimes I don't care. I like, it's not about the money. It's definitely about finding homes. Because I have a girl, this girl, a friend of mine. She has been buying my art back when my paintings were $200-300. 7-8 years ago. She used to come to every live event. Probably owns 23 originals. She definitely owns the biggest collection of originals of my art. I mean, early shit. She owns the very first Hunter S. Thompson pieces that I ever did. And so it's a huge collection. And for me, it's very prominent because, it does catalog like an earlier style because a lot of it was live art. It was start to finish in 5 hours. And then, and now she's going through, she's fighting cancer, and life's looking pretty grim. She's stable right now, but it's something where I've even talked about setting up a trust because she does have a daughter, and do I need to step in and help, curate this art? Do I need to set up something to make sure that this collection is taken care of, and not just like divided up about with if something were to happen to her, if she passes away, I want to make sure this collection stays together and goes to her daughter and doesn't get like distributed amongst family members or people that don't give a shit. So because she spent a lot of time and hard-earned money to curate that collection. So I definitely between selling friends art for cheap or kind of monitoring the situation with some of my art. I mean, I definitely keep an eye on it. It's, especially important pieces like that. So it's not just like kind of sold and out of my mind. There we go. Theo, yeah, right. I just watched that movie too, where they did the hand painted oil painting movie, Vincent, where it's all about his life, and but the whole movie was hand painted. Story was okay. It was a lot of interesting facts. Yeah, I mean, we spend so much time on these paintings. It's like, where are these going? Any more of that yellow ochre? Any more dark brown? Any more dark brown in my life? There we go. Yeah, it's a cool, super cool movie. It was like, I forgot how many paintings. It was like a couple hundred artists or 100 artists, 300 artists, I don't know. But they hand oil painted the entire movie. And it's all just, frame by frame shot. Made sure Vincent was seen. Yeah. Yes, a good support team. My wife has really stepped in. I mean, when I met her and we started dating, I mean, I was 6 nights a week at a nightclub live painting in LA and San Diego and drinking and painting and just exhausted. And I had Mondays to recoup and then come up with the next idea for the next 5 nights and then go out and do it all over again and sell art. And sometimes I would paint for 25 days in a month and maybe make $500. I mean, that's how rough it was sometimes. So, but just to hammer it out. And then when she came in and actually took some of the workload off because she had, 2 incomes now and allowed me to kind of, reassess and hone. Because that was 3 years straight where I was 6 nights a week at a nightclub. I mean, that was intense. It got my name out there for sure, but it was definitely not the healthiest way to build my art career up. And now she helps run the wholesale business. Sugar's actually my director of business development and audio engineer. So he's like, not only does he write all the music, but he handles everything from all the Photoshop and structuring all the PDF files, everything that needs to go out to wholesalers, to distributors. He builds the website. He handles, it's actually over the last couple months been really creepy having all my work done and being able to just paint. And I'm like, I feel like I should be doing something else, but no, I'm good. I can actually work, Her father was like, ditch this guy. Who knows? He's a very interesting character, though. No, I think he's I think he was cool with it. He's got 3 daughters, so I think he was happy to. I told him when his last daughter got married, my wife's younger sister. I was like, you had 3 daughters, and you married them off to some pretty cool guys. I think so. That's got to feel good, And I think he's just happy about that. My one brother-in-law's a musician. He's in a band. He's signed. He's got albums out, but he's a sailor as well. They do America's Cup style sailing, and then my other brother-in-law lives in Cape Cod and runs his own registered email business or whatnot. So he's successful. So I think he lucked out. I mean, I have one daughter, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is she gonna bring home? When she starts dating. Thankfully, she's only 10 now, but that'll come quick. All right, we got a couple towers in. We're making progress here. Let's just pan down so we can see the bat wings. Lift it up so it's actually flat with the camera. I'm kind of on a angled drawing table, so I know there's some distortion on what the actual painting looks like, but there it is, kind of more level with the camera. We'll bring it up, see some of the line work. So I think we're gonna go, what do we want to do in the background there? Maybe some of that pink. Yeah, what the hell? Let's go for like a fuchsia kind of pinky purple sky. Little funky. Next Day Grooves is the name of this track. And it's about an hour into the next day. So. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, that definitely contrasts with that. And it makes the green. It almost gives it like a kind of a B sci-fi movie look. Danger. Attack of the 50-foot Hunter Thompson. Ooh. There's no stopping this man until he finds a 100-foot bottle of booze. Oh, when I pop his eye in? Yeah. We'll get there, man. Saving it. Mickey Jones for it. When's he gonna do the fucking eye? Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's staring right at you. He's like, give me bourbon now, and I don't know what planet I'm on. I've definitely been there. All right. There we go. Make sure there's a couple little brush strokes in there for texture. And that looks bright as shit on camera. I like this funky bass line. Charles Levi. If you ever heard of My Life Was a Thrill Kill Cult, one of the most amazing bass players. It's like super funky. Do I use the rule of thirds or the golden ratio? I have no idea what those are. I probably learned them at one point and immediately forgot them. Maybe I do need them. I don't know. Yeah, refresh me on those. golden ratio. Do unto others in equal amounts as you would have done to you, right? I think this is a, no, no. You make into a checkerboard. All right, that sounds complicated. I'm gonna take a little bit of this dark purple here, and we will see if we keep it in there. Yeah. All right, we need to change this track. Let's see. There we go. Then place the focal into 1/3 lines, horizontal and vertical. Oh yeah, that's a lot of thought and work. Well, and I think that just comes naturally to me now. Maybe that kind of falls under the whole balance thing. Or maybe when I'm doing my initial sketches, I kind of use that without knowing it. Golden ratio is too complicated. I don't even understand. There you go. Yeah, I have trouble with rules. Always have. Especially when it comes to art. I mean, it's good when you're starting out, to obviously, I understand why we paint wagon wheels and shade oranges and, all that good stuff. But for me in high school, it was like, I was only one of 3 kids in Art 4, so it was like, yeah, we'll make sure you don't have to redo what Art 3 students were doing. We'll come up with special projects. Day 1, they were like, okay, you're going to do the same thing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I said, I'm supposed to be advancing here, and I don't want to go to art school, which I didn't end up going because I'm a traditional painter, so just keep practicing, and I'll get better. There's no need to drop $100,000 for some art teacher to tell me that. But I had a very traditional art teacher. She was 60-some years old. I'm sure I was learning all sorts of rules and ratios from 1820, that still probably apply. So yeah, that dark purple worked really nice. I like how everything kind of pops, and I think we may have to add some blacklight reactive paint to this piece. I don't know. Figure it out in the end, but is that the same? Yeah, okay. Oops, there we go. All right. Oh, and then we got You do follow the rule of natural learning. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things I do that actually have a technical title or rule. I just never learned to use it, Because for me, since I didn't go to school and it was all about trial and error, it's kind of like with we were talking about 9 Inch Nails earlier, and I know back in the day, like for like the self-destructor and whatnot, like I know in an interview, Trent was saying he was more concerned with a musician that wasn't maybe super technically proficient, but brought that energy to the show and could actually work and make a band just look like this huge force on stage. And for me, I've done so much live painting. It was more about how the work was applied to the canvas and how it it was a cool image, but maybe it wasn't as balanced or well put together or constructed. Maybe it didn't follow any rules, but while I was painting it on stage, it looked pretty rad, and I did that for about 15 years. It was maybe until maybe 5 years ago, I think I really sat down and did my first like studio painting, where I actually did a 9-foot painting that I put 110 hours into, and as opposed to just banging a painting out in a nightclub while throwing back whiskeys in 5 hours. So there definitely became a point where I was paying more attention to what I was doing, as opposed to just slopping paint on there and making it look cool while I did it. Spit always blends well. Step back a minute here. Yeah, all right. Okay. Almost. Maybe I want to put that green in here. What color eye? I think I'm gonna give him green eyes. What color were eyes? Should we look up what color were Hunter Thompson's eyes? Brown. Yeah. We're gonna make it like an amber color. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Let's experiment. Oh. And here's another one of the Funk tunes. This is Snail Cane. Oh, no, this is Beetle. So this is the track from one of the time lapses you can see on my feed. Yeah. We were kind of just picking up all the colors that are behind in the towers. There we go. Okay, so let's go in with some black ink and detail out these towers, because I never miss an opportunity to play with ink. But I gotta get these two little there we go. A little yellow. Go. Alright, we go directly through the middle of his head. This is called the rule of thirds. Vertical front, third centered, two vertically equally spaced. Right line, we go directly through his head. Okay. This is called rule of thirds. Vertical, right third centered to the line. Excellent. I think I am going to ignore you. No. I'm just kidding. Bringing all this technical shit into my art stream. We're artists, man. It's just about being freeform and flowing around the universe, right? No, it's all good. I like hearing the technical term for what I actually do. Kind of like driving a car but not knowing what you're driving. You drive a Ferrari? Fuck if I know. Haven't gotten out to look at it. So we'll get this little circle that's going around. Ink this in first. Just little things. Make sure I don't forget them. all good. I hate the technical. What if my fashion is you do it from experience and what looks good versus bad? Yeah, I mean, I have stumbled and fallen many, many times with paintings, and um, yeah, I don't know. I self-published my first comic when I was 15, so I was off and running at a pretty young age. So for me, it was all about just building up a body of work and kind of figuring it out along the way. Um, yeah, I definitely paid some dues. I just, yeah, because once, I mean, that was kind of a defining point for me in my art career. Is I was part of the school magazine in high school, so I had access to all the equipment. So I put out my first comic book, and then we sold 400 copies. I was already making money and selling art, and I knew it wasn't the best art, but I knew it was unique, and I did know that right off the bat. That as weird as the comics were, and maybe they weren't going to be any mainstream, and it wasn't going to get me a gig drawing Batman or whatever. I knew I could at least say, hey, I have some unique shit on the market. And the same with live art. Like, I painted night after night after night after night at these nightclubs until I knew I mean, I stopped counting at like 4,500 events. I'm probably over 5,000 different nightclubs and festivals that I've painted at in 20 years. So, that became a thing. Live painting once, is respectable because, and that's what I tell artists. It's like, some of the artists I've worked with that have come in and live painted. I said, once you live paint somewhere, you're now in an exclusive club because there's very few of us that do it live, as opposed to how many artists there are out there. I said, so, when you start doing it over and over, that in itself will then become a thing. And it's these things that you create that are going to separate you from other artists. And, that's how I saw it. So that's why I was like, well, I didn't want to waste, for me, it was a waste of time to go into art school. I was always already off and running, and I was just going to learn it as I, went. So, yeah, I did put out some pretty terrible shit in the beginning, or, subject matter was unique, but yeah, I mean, technically it was like, maybe I should have had that rule of thirds, like, written on my palm here, like, okay, you're about to start a new painting, what? But yeah, it's pretty nuts to sit back and think like just how much time I have spent like painting in front of people in various forms, whether it be online or like I said, mainly at festivals and whatnot. So, but I enjoy it and I find it relaxing. I mean, I get a lot of people, oh, don't you get nervous? And no. Because I'm in my element and I'm doing my thing. I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So what I have fun doing. Now getting up and giving some speech on some bullshit in front of people, I'm like, might be a little more nervous to do that. But who knows? But yeah, just it was just a different way to do it. I don't discourage kids from going to art school. I just think if it's like a traditional medium where if all it takes is practice to get better, then what are you paying for? Like if your parents are willing to give you $100,000 to go to art school, tell them to give you $100,000 for a marketing budget. Hire an agency, hire a PR person, get your work out there. Yeah, 100% a stress reliever. That's why, when I hear people go, oh, I quit, I used to draw, but I don't anymore. It's like, why not? Like, it's the same reason. It's like why we play Grand Theft Auto and go, yeah, that guy I'm about to run over, that was my boss today. Like, I am going to run him the fuck over, and I'm going to take his money, and then I'm going to go do something else. But, same thing with video games. We use them as stress relief. But art, the same deal. It's like I used to get in trouble as a kid, and I would do all these cartoons of my dad, like as King Kong getting shot at by the planes, or but he absolutely hated that shit. But that was my stress relief. That kept me busy while I was in trouble, and I thought it was a pretty comedic way to pass the time. And that was practice. That was still more practice. You know what? It may be time to zoom in a little. Just a tad. Oh yeah. And a lot of people do. A lot of people do think, if it isn't making you money, what is the point? And it's like, just be happy you have a talent and you didn't like give up on it. I mean, everybody's got their stress relief. Everybody's got their, and it's so much less destructive than drugs and alcohol. I mean, I love drinking, but the drawing's probably a lot better for me. Yeah, I mean, I've been through some battles with my wife as far as like the artistic side of things, but the big thing with her was like, why didn't I get like a job with like Pixar or something like that? And I'm like, because that's awful. Like, I may go on tour for a month and a half, but I come home, I tour about 2 months out of the year, 3 months out of the year, but now, like, during the fall tour, my whole family comes with me. But there were times where I was gone for like 2 months, 2.5 months in the spring and fall, and that was a lot of time away from the family. But when I was there, the other 8 months out of the year, I was there. I was able to do whatever I wanted during the week. I didn't have a day job. I wasn't like, she's like, well, kind of have a job like a normal husband. And I said, what? Where I get up in the morning and I see the kids for an hour in the morning, an hour at night, and then I see them on the weekends, but then I have a bunch of chores and shit to do, and yeah, I'm like, where I can't hang out. I'm like, absolutely not. I said, and then watching, I mean, if you work at Pixar and stuff like that, when you're on deadline for a movie, I mean, you're basically sleeping under your desk, so you don't see your family. I mean, you're working on a movie that's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. That's not like something you just like phone in. Yeah. Well, now she does sculpting. She does a lot of polystyrene sculpting. Once she started to get into her own creativity, that's when it really like clicked, But I was very understanding. I mean, to the point where I'm like, I would, you just have to vocalize it. You have to say, look, I understand this is hard to understand. Being an artist is a bit like mental insanity, and maybe it is a form of it. But it's just hang in there. Like, I've been doing this a long time, and I know it's going to work. I know it, and and it is. We're doing very well right now. So, but it was just like that. It's just very tough to explain to someone, that kind of insanity of knowing shit's gonna work, and if it doesn't, I'm still gonna do it anyway because it's the only thing that makes me happy, right? In fact, I did a painting to that effect. I have a painting where there's a little guy in a boat, and the boat's cracked, and it's sinking, and then he's holding this giant boulder on his shoulders, and it just says art at the top, and it's just pushing down, and it's sinking the boat, and drowning in the water is like just words that say like friendship, family, love, patience, time, and it's all the things that art has destroyed in my life, because in order to be a successful artist, I truly believe that a lot of beautiful things in your life will be destroyed because of it, and it's not your fault, and it's not because anything you did in a negative way. It's just that's what happens, because people don't understand, what it's like to go through this process, Yeah, like Atlas, but no solid ground. And it's not something arrogant or egotistical. It's just like, it's such a hard profession that it has to be like the Sean show for a while. I mean, in order to get this working. But as it is starting to slowly come together, and as it started to, the weight started to come off, and we started to make more money and get steady work, and I didn't have to worry as much. I mean, it was, we made sure we enjoyed the finer things in life, and that we were actually, tasting the fruits of our labor and not just kind of squandering them. Another Reich and Funk tune from one of my time lapses. Yeah, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a woman. I would equate it to like a woman trying to explain childbirth to you, to get you to understand what it's like to go through that. And it's like that's what art's like. I can't explain it to you. I just do it and I go through it and I survive it and I'm stronger for it, or I have a career. You'll never be able to, as a man, I will never be able to, obviously know what going through childbirth is like. So, well, I'm sure in some point in time there'll be a way, but but you know what I'm saying. It's just one of those things that's unto the person who's gone through it, And if those around you stick with it, some cool stuff can come out of it. It's so weird on my OBS. It looks blurry, but it looks sharp on the image. And down here, just to add some shadow, I just kind of put the brush down, slam the side of it down, and get that dark, different brush width. It gives it a nice texture. It's kind of a techno-y, like Michael Myers song. Yeah, let's take these all the way down. Okay. 120. People love my art for product packaging. Pisses me off. I'm not good. No, you're an artist, but that's big now. I mean, I do some package design for some stuff in the cannabis industry, and it's big to put art on packaging design now. It shows that they're actually giving a shit about what their package looks like. It definitely falls under the realm of like industrial art, but it can be cool. I like when I buy something that comes in a pretty cool package. I know my wife likes to buy her weed and it comes in a really nice package. Look at the package. Yeah, I got a buddy that's a graphic designer. If I need that shit done, all goes to him. I'm just not one to sit in front of the computer and do Photoshop for any more than I need to. Next bag she buys will be from me. Oh, you a grower? We like them. What are you talking about doing the packaging design? Yeah, maybe. Oh, no. Yeah, I kind of caught myself there and was like, oh wait, I think he's talking about the packaging, not the growing. Yeah, that's big now. That is big, dude. If you wanted to do that, I know plenty of growers, man. Like, I mean, I'm on the West Coast, so I am in the Emerald City. My friend Kyle, he's actually one of the top 20 growers in the country right now. He just got that distinction a couple weeks ago. He does all sorts of consulting work. He builds these massive grows, and they are things of beauty. My family in Africa is a greenhouse or green exotic. Oh, wow. Hey, that sounds amazing. Oh, okay. Climate-wise, yeah. Do some vertical. Uh, 125 right now. Yeah, I haven't gotten into the cigar thing yet. I popped a cigar or two, and I can guarantee you they were probably complete garbage. But, you know. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a little break. I've been on for, what, 4 hours, and I need to take a break. I'm hungry. Was it 1:30? I will probably hop back on here in another 20 minutes or so and do some more inking. But yeah, I'm going to take a break for now, and I'd keep the stream up, but I'm going to leave the house for a minute and run down to the store. So I will log back on probably around 1:50, or let's say 2 a.m. I'll hop back on, or 2 a.m. West Coast time. So, post office box. I have a mailing address for my business, so I can send that to you. I'll whisper it to you. But yeah, so if you guys don't hop back on in a half hour, thanks so much for you guys hosting and following and watching, and I'm gonna go take a break and get some food, and I will back about 2 o'clock. So yeah, I would love a real cigar. Hell yeah. Alrighty, I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.